Hey, man.
What's up?
Why are you sitting like that?
Like what?
You're like a news anchor on his first day.
That was pretty accurate. It was a little mean.
Why is your watch so big?
What? This is a weird dream you're having? What are you talking about? Why is my watch so big?
Weird eyes you have. What big eyes you have.
I'm just here to do a podcast.
It feels like you're here to huff and puff and blow my house down.
No.
Okay.
Nothing much. What's up with you?
Hey, so look, question. Have you ever heard of the Colorado River?
Okay. Yes.
Have you heard of the Colorado River?
Is that their AAA baseball team? The Colorado River?
Oh, that's kind of cool. I
Yeah.
like that. That's pretty sweet.
Should be. We should bleep that too then, I guess.
Censor it.
Let's go ahead and buy a minor league team.
Looks like we're minor league owners.
Or are we talking about
now.
the Grand Canyon?
No. Have you heard of the Colorado River Compact?
No.
Yeah. It's a new compact car from our minor
the
league
AAA
team.
minor league baseball team. Our merchandise is, either one of those little fans, just like so cheap, or a car. No in between. We don't sell
Compact
t-shirts.
car.
Yeah, a compact car. That's true. Yeah. We're not like rich.
We're not monsters.
Hold on. Shut up, Tim.
That the Grand Canyon
Tim, shut
was
up.
definitely
Hey,
a C.
Mute him.
So at this point in time,
Yes.
1922,
People didn't know a lot.
who took all the water?
Golly, sorry, I was watching The Office. Yeah. What else do you know about Howie Mandel?
He doesn't have any hair on the top of his head.
Things I learned last night. The Colorado River Compact?
Yeah. I feel like I need to mention this.
Okay. Please do then.
Before we get too far in. Here's the deal. There is a... Never mind.
No. Okay.
I'm just saying. There
No,
is
shut
a
up.
huge...
Let's go for it. Fiddle
Fine, I'll
off.
save it for after the fiddle.
Okay.
Okay. So the Colorado River, here's the Colorado River. I'll show you a picture of it. So in case you don't know, it's a big river that goes from Colorado to the Gulf of California.
Okay.
And it's existed for a long time throughout history, if you will, even before history.
What is water woes? What is water woes? Is that a...
We'll get to that.
Okay. Is that just the site that this came from?
I'm going to be honest. I don't know. I got this from Google Images.
Oh, okay. It just says Pacific Ocean water woes. And I was like, is water woes a label or is that...
It makes sense. I know that.
The thing
I know
that this
what
came
they
from.
mean.
Okay.
I know their point, but I don't.
Oh, is it that the Colorado River's drying up?
Yeah, it definitely is. But yes, the Colorado River runs through Colorado, Utah, Arizona, Nevada, California.
It
and
did
Mexico.
carve the Grand Canyon.
That's what they want you to believe.
It's the river at the bottom of the Grand Canyon. Isn't
It is. Yeah.
Okay.
And they want you to believe the Colorado River did that.
Okay.
Have you been? We went to the Grand Canyon together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have you been to the Grand Canyon? Yes.
Yeah.
I was
and
there.
We also probably when we took that trip to Durango where you almost ruined my car, we probably drove by the Grand Canyon or the Colorado River then. Actually, no, we didn't.
No, we stayed underneath it there.
Yeah. But surely at some point, one of our travels, we drove. I know I've seen it in Colorado.
Okay.
Here's the deal.
It's not real?
No, my number one complaint with that theory about the Grand Canyon Colorado River thing.
No, that's a real... What? Hold on. The theory, which theory? That it did or did not carve the Grand Canyon?
That it carved the Grand Canyon, yeah.
You have an issue with that? Okay, go ahead.
Because why there and nowhere else? What's unique to the Grand Canyon versus the rest of the route of the Colorado River that made it carve the Grand Canyon there than nowhere else. Riddle me this, Batman.
I don't have time to give you a topography lesson or a lesson in how different landscapes and different heights create different water pressures, and then the level of the water and different elevations. I don't have time to do all this.
I don't buy it. It's not a believable story to me. I think it was like a Salton Sea scenario. Like there was a big ocean there, and then we dropped a nuke in it on accident.
You know what probably happened?
And it dried up.
You know what probably happened?
Yeah.
Let's be real.
Yeah.
Was in Arizona, right?
Yeah.
There was a bear. It stumbled into a lot of cocaine. And then that bear just started digging. And it blacked out.
For 2.8 million years.
And it's down there somewhere.
He's still digging.
With a little hat on.
A miner's hat.
And he's down there just digging the Grand Canyon. Here, you know what my favorite thing about the Grand Canyon is with you? Is the time that you just assumed there was a diner. You know, that I know we've talked about it on the podcast before, but I've never seen Tim so angry in my entire life.
It just makes sense.
Than when we got up there.
It just makes sense.
And there's no, like, he was expecting like a local Waffle House to be up there.
Yeah.
And there's not. There is a lodge that serves basic hotel breakfast food.
Yeah.
And then there is a McDonald's. Now, I don't know if you can imagine, because of the way elevation works, how difficult it is to get product to that McDonald's, but
it's not elevation, it's just distant from everything.
Look at if you're like, oh, why did it carve there and not everywhere else along the route? Okay, why don't you look at the elevation difference between northern Arizona there and the elevation difference between lower Arizona there? Why don't you look at it?
What do you mean? What do you mean? In this picture, it's more north for sure.
You're taking the flat earth thing to a completely new level. I'm saying we get up all the way to the Grand Canyon. It costs a lot for McDonald's to ship anything there. So therefore, they have to charge a lot more.
Okay, they have to charge maybe 30 cents more.
And Tim's eyes were about to pop
maybe
out of his head
and
when
the
he's
only reason
pacing back
is
and forth
we're
on
on the other side of
and
the
he's
state.
like, I can't believe he's yelling at McDonald's employees. I can't believe a McDouble is $4.
It was $8 first of all.
$4 for a breakfast sandwich up here.
It's the airport effect, because you're on the other side of the gate. They know you have no other options. It's like you can eat this cheap, bad hotel breakfast, or you can come to McDonald's and pay triple what you would anywhere else, which is still a quarter of the price of any other restaurant. Bro, I'm not gonna lie, and it was absurd. I'm still mad about it.
But you weren't that mad. Here's what I was upset about: is that someone had a drone. We drove through the night to watch the sunrise at the Grand Canyon. Somebody had a drone.
Where did we wake up that? We woke up in California.
We woke up in California. We went to Vegas and then drove through the night.
Yeah, it was a long night.
All right, don't try to justify yourself. All right, you became a little Karen.
It was a long night. I was 23.
The drone comes. I mean, it's beautiful. It's picture sunrise of the Grand Canyon, right? Beautiful. And it's like you're on this road trip with your friends, early 20s. You're like, oh my gosh, dude, we're gonna live forever, you know. And you see the sunrise, and you come to reality with the fact that this canyon has been around for millennia, right? And it's been carved so slowly by the Colorado River,
by the cocaine
by that Colorado bear. And it's been, you know, and you're just faced with nature, and then you just hear zzz, you know, and this little thing, and he's getting a drone shot of the sunrise, and you weren't mad. You were like,
I wasn't.
You were like, that's annoying, but whatever.
No, it was funny.
$12 hamburger loses his mind.
Furious.
Loses his mind.
Because that was obscene. That was obscene.
I still have
capitalism.
not seen you that angry before.
That was just that's what it was. That was an obscene display of capitalism.
And you don't like that? I thought you were all for that.
No.
Here's the thing. If they're at the top of they should be able to charge for whatever they want. And if I don't want it, I don't got to pay for it.
I mean, whatever, bro. Oh my gosh! Oh wow! Welcome to day 2 of the newsroom.
If I don't want it, I don't have to pay for it.
Oh my god!
That's how it works, Tim.
No, it's not. It's taking advantage.
That's
of people
how it works,
because they're on
Republican.
the other side of the gate.
Republic Tim.
Oh my gosh! I'm just saying the stove with its gas cooks better.
Okay, move on. Okay, so the river's drying up.
Yeah. So here's the deal.
It carved the Grand Canyon. You hate the theory.
It's debatable. You know,
It's literally not. But go ahead.
it's debatable. It doesn't stand up to scrutiny. No, it's the Colorado River. Here's the deal. You're right. It's drying up. That's what's happening, and it's a predictable problem that has done nothing but get worse and worse.
Okay.
That we don't have a solution for, and it's scary. And I'm gonna scare you for a little bit. Are you ready?
Sure.
But before we do,
I do love these episodes of like the Loeb episode where you're like, I'm gonna like scare you with horror stuff, and then now I'm just gonna scare you with dull, boring stats that are equally terrifying.
So check this out. All right.
All right.
As you know,
Why are your AirPods out?
they were uncomfortable in my pocket.
Oh, okay. Sorry. Go ahead.
As you know,
Tim, put the AirPods away. What are you doing right now?
when I researched this,
Tim, stop. What do you?
stop it! Stop. You're throwing me on my. I've got a moment. I'm trying.
All
to
right.
craft
Do your
right
monologue.
now.
Do your monologue.
As you know,
Here we go.
every night, as I'm prepping for an episode, last night, I research a lot of Wikipedia. Sometimes I research more than just Wikipedia. I take looks at other sources, and
Water woes.
that could be Wikipedia articles. That could be newspaper or other sources, academic journals, if you will. Usually not those. Or what happens sometimes is I take a look at YouTube videos.
Bum, bum, bum. Okay.
And this very scenario, I looked at a video from a creator named Real Life Lore, who I've actually now watched a lot of videos from. Very captivating. Great content. Definitely 10 out of 10 recommend.
Okay.
And I just want to play you. You don't even have to see it. Just the audio clip from like 3 seconds of this video. You'll
Okay.
understand why.
Okay.
It's very important to me. Are you ready?
Sure.
Here we go.
Far to the contrary, California's water problem is an ancient one that goes
Yes! I'm not alone. This is the first time I felt like I'm part of a community.
You found a YouTuber. This is what you have a community? An ancient?
Ancient. Yeah, baby. Put it on a shirt. It's not just me. I'm not the only ancient one.
The ancient one?
I'm going to be honest. That's the only reason I brought
hate
this whole topic.
That there was a problem with our we have brand new equipment.
Yeah.
And there was a problem getting the audio to work. And Tim was like, I just need to use the audio for this episode. I'm really going to need to use the audio. Like, Alex, if we can figure it out, I'm going to really need to use the audio for this episode. And I guarantee that was the only thing he's going to use audio for. Anything else?
No, that was... Honestly, we can fiddle off the episode. This is why I brought this
Yeah,
episode
we don't even
up.
want to talk about the Colorado River.
No, yeah, here we do.
Why is it drying up?
So the Colorado River Compact, we got to take it back to 1922, 100 years plus one ago.
Okay.
101,
Sure.
101 years ago.
One for every Dalmatian.
So at this point in time,
Yes.
1922,
People didn't know a lot. I mean, like they made decisions, but they didn't make decisions. They weren't thinking like, how it's going to hurt people in 100 years.
it's true. And capitalism was really roaring.
People still don't do that, but they were doing it way worse back in the 1900s.
Yeah, this was the roaring 20s where there was this idea that you can use as much as you want and you're never going to run out.
Yeah.
Except for the people who did this compact. They said, wait a second, we got this Colorado River and it's providing water to all of these states.
Yes.
And that's a lot. And as some of these states, like California, expands, they're drawing more and more water.
Yes.
And we don't want them to take all of our water. And so all these upper basin states, Colorado, New Mexico, Utah, and parts of Arizona, were like, we need to make sure that California doesn't steal all our water from us, basically is the idea.
Okay.
And so they said, we'll create a compact, which was just a pact. I don't know why they added a com to it. Is that where pact came from? Is making a pact a compact, but you just shorted it? You compacted a compact? Interesting.
Yeah.
Wow, I'm learning so many words today.
Yeah.
So they made a pact.
Fido. That's short for fiddle.
Yeah.
I get it.
Yeah, they made a pact, which is short for compact, to distribute the water evenly amongst them. And there's a couple things that play with this.
California
pact.
included, or just those?
All the states that are in these
upper basin.
Upper and lower basin.
Oh, okay.
Anything that's within the little swatches you see here.
Okay, they were like, "Hey guys,
Yeah, let's make a deal."
It's named after us, but we're going to split it evenly."
They said, bankers calling.
Colorado gets 51% though.
Colorado gets 51%. No, they said, bankers calling. You could open up another case, or you could take the deal. And
We're like, okay.
and Howie was like, this is a lot of money.
He always did the double finger point. Or you could see what's in this case.
What's in this case.
Or he always did that. What's his deal? It's almost like his hands are like a little Marriott.
Yeah.
They're tied together.
Yeah. Yeah, you know, I was listening to that
Howie
podcast
Mandel's
with
not
him.
real. What? It's up for debate.
There's no way the Colorado River made that guy.
I don't believe it. For a
I
second.
don't buy that
For a second.
Hey, thanks for checking out Things Other Than Last Night. If you're enjoying this, we have a ton of episodes. We've been doing this for a few years now, so make sure you go back, check them out. My current favorite is Elmer McCurdy. It's a story about a guy who was born in 1890, died in 1910, and was buried in 1976, which is just weird. The story is absolutely bonkers. I don't want to give too much away, but it was a super fun one. We loved it. Make sure you check that one out. But again, thanks for checking out Things Other Than Last Night. You know that first episode? Have you heard of the story of that?
Of what?
Deal or no deal?
Of deal or no deal? And then you're just like,
Deal or
here's
no
that first
deal
episode? Okay.
How he did that episode, and he thought this was the end of his career. Like, he took this deal because he was ready to retire, and he did not think his career was going anywhere else.
Sure.
And because at the time, TV was different, I guess.
Yes.
And doing something like that was like the end of your career. Like, and so he was like, yeah, I'm hosting a game show now. I'm sailing off into the sunset. My career's over. And he did not have a good attitude about it. Did not think it was going to be great. He did the show, and he did in that first episode, there was a lady who kind of, he tells the story. He's like, she was kind of in the heat of the moment, like getting excited and turning down these deals, and they were lots of money. And he's like, I knew her story because I got to know her. And that would have changed her life.
You idiot.
And so he was trying really hard, to tell her to take the money. And so his whole shtick that ended up becoming his shtick through the whole series was because that first episode, he was genuinely being like, now listen, this is a lot of money.
This is money that you need.
Do you want to take the deal or open up another? And he was like, I was talking to her like she was a child because I wanted to break through the heat of that moment for her. Like, I'm on TV, I'm in the show, here's how I'm end up, take the freaking money.
Yeah.
And then
did she lose a lot of money?
I don't know what happened in that episode, but he said that after it, he immediately went on vacation because he didn't want to see it. He's like, this is the dying thing I do with my career. It's the end of it.
It was primetime TV though.
Yeah, and then it got 9 million views on primetime first night, and was a huge, massive hit. We all remember. And producers were like, I don't know what you were doing when you hosted that, but do it in every episode. And he was like, you mean try to talk people out of it? Talk some sense into them. And so that's where the shtick came from.
Yeah.
Yeah. He was not, the way it was written wasn't for him to act the way he did, because he was genuinely
You know what's interesting though? I bet him doing that made them not want to do it. Like
maybe
it was one of those like they're on a game show and the host is like, hey, and like that almost to them was like that they wouldn't do that if there was, you know what I'm saying? Like he was just like, please take the money.
It's like your rich entrepreneur friend being like, that $1 million is a lot of money, and you being like, I want my jet.
And you're like, yeah, I want my jet though. Yeah.
Yeah. So anyways, that's some free deal or
That's
no
great.
deal trivia for you.
Yeah. What else do you know about Howie Mandel?
He doesn't have any hair on the top of his head. I don't know. I'm under pressure. That's all I can think of.
Okay. So the upper basin. Jeez, dude.
MTV was his idea.
I also like that if anybody sees the clip of us talking about Howie Mandel, no context, a picture of the Colorado River on the screen. Like, you're like, did you know Deal or No Deal? Like, if we clip that, we were like, yeah, the whole story of Deal or No Deal. And on the screen is just the Colorado River. For no reason.
There's a reason.
Oh, I guess those guys just like the Colorado River.
Big fans. So here's what they did. They said, okay, there's a couple things at play here. First is who had it first. Whoever got it first gets to keep it the most, is what they said. That was the words that they used. And they said, California, you got it last. And so we get...
Are you talking about the flow of the river?
No, like whoever had the rights first, like literally had rights to it first. And so people, naturally, people further along, because of the way Western expansion worked, Colorado got to the Colorado River first because they were there first, and they claimed rights to it first. And so basically, people in the upper basin had higher rights to the water because they had rights to begin with than the people in the lower basin. And so the idea was, if there was ever a situation where things started to dry up, upper basin has rights over lower basin. And so the lower basin's going to have to figure something else out. And we get our water because it's our water. And we're just kind of sharing it with you because it's spilling down the side of the globe.
You guys are the leftover Colorado River.
The other thing that was at play was they said, because of this, because it does kind of flow through your stuff also, you can have some of it, but we're going to try to evenly distribute it based upon need. And so they came up with this algorithm of sorts. It wasn't an algorithm, but they divvied it up based upon a couple things. One, they had a group called we'll call them River Corp because I don't remember their name. River Corp.
They had a group called River Company.
The company. River Corp came and they did the math to figure out how much water flowed through the Colorado River in a year.
Sure.
And they said, we're pretty sure it's about 15 million acre-feet of water a year flows through the Colorado River.
Okay.
Lots of water. And because politics, the politicians that were involved in this said, call it 16.5. So that way we can give a little bit to Mexico and make them feel like, oh, we get some water too. And so they were like, okay, 16.5 million acre feet of water is going to flow through a year.
Okay.
And what they did is that extra 1.5 they gave to Mexico. And they're like, you can have 1.5 million acre feet
But now they have 13.5 to split the rest.
Now they have 15 because they raised the number artificially.
Okay.
And that other 15, they split down the middle, 7.5 to the upper basin, 7.5 to the lower basin. And then within those, they split up percentages based upon need in those regions.
Sure.
So in the upper basin, 51% went to Colorado, 23% to Utah, 14% to Wyoming, 11% to New Mexico, and 0.7% to that little corner of Arizona that's in the upper basin.
Okay.
And then in the lower basin, 58% to California, 37% to Arizona, and 4% to Nevada. So everybody got their little percentage of water. Mexico got 1.5 million acre feet of water. And everybody was happy. We're all getting water, right? Wrong.
Bad.
Bad. because there's a couple things. Obviously, they artificially inflated that number.
Right. And there's still a bear on the loose.
Carving out the Grand Canyon, drinking so much water,
dude.
He gets thirsty down there. That's a big canyon.
We found him. His belly was just full of water.
Full of Colorado water.
He was a bloated bear.
So much Colorado River water. When they took this sample to figure out how much water is going through,
Yeah.
it was 1922.
Yeah, they didn't know how to count back then.
They hadn't come up with numbers yet. The issue was at that time.
Did they miscount it?
No, but at that time, the American Southwest was in what we would later learn was the wettest season in probably 500 years in the American Southwest.
Oh.
And so they said that the average would be 15 acre-feet a year, 50 million acre-feet a million, but that was based on that year, which was the wettest in like 500 years. What was probably what we know now was the more realistic average would be around 12 to 13 million acre-feet a year.
Okay.
And so they were off by 3 to 4 million acre-feet a year. And then they inflated that by an extra 1.5 million so they could give some to Mexico.
Sure.
And make themselves look good, I guess. I don't know. So they were grossly over allocating what they had to begin with.
Sure.
This was when things were good. Something that they also didn't anticipate was the American Southwest being what it is, because this was the 20s. LA was there and LA was rapidly expanding. And this is the reason for the compact.
Yeah.
But other than that, all the other major cities that we have in here, Phoenix, Denver, Vegas, were all smaller cities, especially Vegas. Vegas wasn't even on the map. Like it was like a little trading outpost. Nobody had the idea that any of these cities would become what they ended up becoming one day and require as much water as they end up requiring one day. Or have things like the Bellagio fountain, just squirting water all the time.
Okay.
Nobody had the foresight.
But you know how the Bellagio works, right?
Yeah, it's just it's a cycle. You know, it's like a pump.
No.
Okay, tell me.
I mean, it is a
Is
pump.
it Howie Mandel?
Yeah, it's Howie Mandel, and they're just every day spitting in it. That's just Howie Mandel's spit. That's all it is. That's gross. That's really gross.
He just swims. He just backstrokes out to the middle of the Bellagio.
And it's him going.
And then he's just laying there spitting.
As long as, you know.
Who's that?
And he thought Deal or No Deal was the end of his career.
Is there a dude backstroking
the pond.
in the pond right now?
No,
it's Howie Mandel.
not just any dude. You put some respect on his name. That's Howie Mandel.
Backstroking. Full tuxedo.
Okay. No, but the Bellagio, that water is evaporating, so they can't just cycle it. Yeah,
it's hot in Vegas.
It is.
Interesting. I never thought about that.
Yeah, so there's actually a process that they've got, and I can't quote it to you to remember it right now, but we should look that up in a little bit. But I know
they figured it out, but
they really did. They did figure it out, and I don't want to say something and it be wrong, so I'm going to wait and maybe we could do a mini episode.
That's the whole point of this podcast. I do that in every episode.
I know, and I read the YouTube comments, so like chill. But we could do it. You could do a whole mini episode on the Bellagio fountain.
Interesting. Yeah. So they just
stay tuned. If you want to see that mini episode, you should subscribe to the podcast on YouTube and also wherever you're listening, and maybe support us on Patreon. Because our listenership is a lot like the water in that it's slowly dying.
We have to put more in or else we lose it all.
I can't keep downloading.
California is taking all of our listeners. We don't know what they're doing with them either.
So be careful out there. They're going to find you.
California is coming for you, TILLN listeners.
All right.
Watch out for the Californians. They're going to take you.
Yeah, we should cut
like
this.
They take everything.
That's it. He's lost it. Like they take everything. Okay. So now is the average is 12 million trillions gallons. How many gallons is that?
Oh gosh. A lot.
Okay. Don't worry about looking up the number.
Too late.
All right. So the Bellagio, right? So it's actually the toilet water that flushes down and you found
1 acre-foot
it.
of water is 325,000 gallons.
Oh wow.
So we're talking million acre-feet.
Yeah.
So we're talking trillions of gallons.
Cool.
Can you imagine carrying those groceries in?
Okay. So yeah, what's happening what's the average now?
So now it's a more complicated situation because
Phoenix is Phoenix now. Phoenix has grown.
Phoenix is huge, LA is huge, San Diego is huge, Vegas is huge, Denver is huge, even Salt Lake City is getting big. And even cities like Grand Junction are drawing from the river and the amount of water that's flowing through. So there's a lot of cities drawing on it. But more than that, there are a ridiculous amount of farmers that are drawing on it and using it for agriculture. And they're using significantly more per capita water than everybody in the cities are using. Because,
they got a farm.
yeah, if you don't water a plant, it dies. Do you have the dead one somewhere? There it is. She's saving its life in our Athletic Greens bottle. Athletic Greens. Bring life back to your plants. For just $5 a month, you can support the plants at the TILLN office. I did not realize that's what you were doing. These hungry plants wake up every day looking for water. And Tim doesn't get it.
Oh, angel.
My wife picked these plants out for our office, and I have not done a
killed
good
them.
job of taking care of them.
You killed them.
Well, that one's
You murdered
that one's
them.
doing all right. That one's fine. This one's doing.
That one's not doing well.
That
dude.
one's fine. This one is.
Sure.
This one is. It's struggling. I'll
It might
admit,
make
but
it.
it's not. Yeah, it could get there.
That one up there
The one
did
up
not
there-
make it.
I mean, I don't know. Katie might be saving it right now.
Okay, we'll see.
Katie's over here doing CPR on our plant.
I know you don't do the mouth thing anymore, do you?
You don't?
Wow, dude. What do you think this is? 2004? You don't do the mouth thing in CPR anymore?
I'm not CPR certified. I don't know.
I'm CPR certified.
Are you really?
Yeah.
Want to do it real quick?
Yeah.
Let's practice.
Yeah. Will somebody drown real quick?
He volunteers to drown.
Yeah. It's for a bit.
Yeah, it'll make good content.
All right. Hey, thanks again for being here for this episode. If you want to help us make more of these, we have a Patreon that you can support us on. We don't make money from this personally. All the money from Patreon goes straight back into our show, helps us to create better episodes, get our better production quality. But more than anything, we're just so glad that you're here. So thank you so much for supporting our show. And if you want early access and be part of our Discord, please consider supporting us on Patreon. But other than that, we just want to say thanks again.
All right, we need to talk about Colorado River. So the farmers are drawing
Speaking of drought.
a lot. The farmers are drawing a lot of water as well.
Okay.
And this has, over time, ballooned the amount of usage.
Sure.
Because as the agricultural industry in this area has grown, more farmers come in and use it.
Yep.
As these cities have grown, obviously more people are using
they're
more water.
drawing it, sure.
And in each of these cities, industrial areas have grown that use a lot of water to create whatever
Sure.
their product is. And so the difference in water usage from 1922 to today is gigantic. It's almost unquantifiable. And I say almost like I have a number, but I don't have a number. So for my
it is
purposes,
pretty
it's unquantifiable.
Sure.
I'm sure some scientist somewhere has it quantified, but I
Yeah.
don't. It's a big difference is the point.
Okay.
Another thing that's important about this region is the American Southwest is a desert, the whole region.
Yeah.
And they oscillate. It oscillates between seasons of drought and seasons of like monsoon seasons.
Sure.
And so each year you're going to see vastly different levels of rainfall. And the way the Colorado River works, I guess we should talk about the ancient Colorado River for a second. The way the river starts up here at the tip of the Rocky Mountains, and it's pretty much, I should say all, but a major source of it is snow runoff from the top of the Rocky Mountains. And then that snow takes a little road trip all the way down to the Gulf of California. God said big.
Yeah, but how do mountains form? What are mountains?
Yeah, it's runoff.
No, not the water. How do mountains form, Tim?
Plate tectonics.
Why did mountains form in Colorado and not in Arizona? The way that they are in Colorado.
Plate tectonics is the plates.
Okay.
Just like here, try this at home. Take some plates from your cabinet.
So you understand that.
Push them together.
Okay.
And watch them get bigger.
Sure. So then the water would come off that elevated surface and run down, run off.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And you don't think that would, because of that force?
Yeah, it would. But it wouldn't create the Grand Canyon. That's too much.
You were so close.
You're so dumb. You sheep. You stupid sheep.
Okay, go ahead.
No, so...
You just believe anything they tell you, huh? I know there's a bear down there.
You know what's really funny?
What?
I said that, not ironically, when I went to with Bree to the Grand Canyon.
You called your wife a stupid sheep?
No.
You said, you stupid sheep. I said that non-ironically. We were having an argument, and I said, you stupid sheep.
No, I said that non-ironically at the Grand Canyon. I walked out there, and we had the brochures.
There's no way a river did this.
We had the brochures, and she was reading it. And it was like the Colorado River carved this out, whatever, million years ago. And I was like, no way. And then the rest of the day, we kept hearing like conspiracy theorists be like, yeah, can you believe they think the Colorado River did this? And I was like, God dang it. I'm not one of them, am I? But I don't buy it. I do not buy it.
I'm not one of them. I'm not stupid. But they have a point.
But I agree with them.
But like everything they're saying is right.
Yeah. Like
I'm not one of them.
I'm not one of them, but they could be right about one thing.
Yeah. Maybe two.
Maybe two things.
Maybe two things. Okay, maybe a lot of things.
What shape is the earth?
Okay. All right.
No, so
canyon truthers.
And what happens is some years have a little less snow because it was a drier year than the year before. And so then that means that summer the Colorado River has less runoff and less flow. And it's in this perpetual state of oscillation.
Sure.
Because of the Colorado River Compact, all of these states and cities and municipalities
are supposed to get 7.5.
They know what they get and they take it, no matter what that year looked like. And on top of that, because
they divided it on acreage instead of percentage of what the flow actually is.
True. Yes. There's a total amount that you get, not a percentage. Yeah. And so every year they're taking that amount, even though it might not be there that year, and it never was because it was an exaggerated number to begin with. And so we have historically, since the 20s, been pulling more out of the Colorado River than the Colorado River had to pull out of. And this is becoming a massive issue for a few reasons.
Okay, because it's a Ponzi scheme. It is a
actually, yeah,
national forest Ponzi scheme.
That's pretty accurate. So there's a problem for a couple of reasons. One, obviously, a lot of people aren't going to be getting their water. Here's Lake Mead, which is the lake that serves the Hoover Dam. It's drying up. This is connected to
That's the year, what year? 2000?
Yeah, the year 2000 on the left.
This is just 20 years?
2022 on the right. It's basically
That's just 1 year difference.
Yeah. It's how rapidly this is drying up right now is absurd. Because what happened in 1999 was a record drought.
What?
And that drought ran on until 2003, and there was a wet year. But in 2004, there was a drought that ran on again until 2009. Which then there was a 2-year wet year. But because these droughts started extending, the wet year couldn't keep up with how much it had drained from the reserves. So there's these reservoirs all along it that function as ways to give us a backup if there's not a wet year. But because the dry years are starting to be not just a dry year, but 2, 3, 4, 5 years in a row that are dry, it can't keep up and it's getting drier faster. And so it leads us to the point where...
So... hold on, though. I just want to make a quick...
Yeah, bring your mic over so I can hear you. Can you stretch your...
So, for the audio listener, I'm pointing the TV right now.
Yeah, he stood up.
So this right here,
Yeah.
this is now dry, right?
Yes, yeah.
What would you call that area?
Yeah, that's
What would you say that
that's
is
a
now?
dry lake bed.
That's a dry lake bed?
See, look, you're proving my point.
Otherwise known
My
as...
point, here, let me tell you.
Sure, go ahead.
I've always said this,
I would
except
say-
for in this
so-
episode, but
so
I have
hold
always
on,
said
shut up, Tim.
that the Grand Canyon
Tim,
was
shut up.
definitely
Hey,
a sea,
mute him
not the
in real
Colorado
life,
River
okay?
just sinking.
So what you're saying is, so this is technically left a canyon, correct?
Yes, but it's
Okay,
not a
no,
Grand
that's
Canyon.
it. Thank you, the jury.
outta
Thank
here.
you. No further questions. Thank
I
you.
don't like having people in our studio.
Great. I'm glad you asked.
Stop
So,
saying it.
so this is about acreage, right? I'm gonna do this like a weatherman. So you're like, there's water here.
Yeah, I
right?
see. Yeah.
But if this is all dry, leaving a vast cavern
Yeah.
left in the world,
Yeah.
that's just a canyon now.
I mean, yes. But it's
And
not a
if
Grand
that were
Canyon.
to be a large enough space, would we maybe call it that?
Here's the deal. I get what you're trying to say. The point is, it's not the Colorado River. This is a reservoir. This is a lake that was here, and they filled it up with water because they put an artificial dam in the way. I'm saying the aliens put an artificial dam in the way of the Grand Canyon, filled it up, and then the sea dried up. The Grand Canyon Sea that used to be there
Always
dried
aliens
up.
with you.
I'm not saying it was aliens, but I'm saying that there's no way it was just the river sunk for a bunch of years. There was an ocean.
What do you
there.
mean sunk?
Dug a hole?
No one. I don't think. Okay.
There had to be the
You
whole
know we
thing
can
had-
demonstrate this on like at a small scale, right? You know that we can like.
Yeah,
set
but
up-
who says if you make it bigger, it's going to be the same? All right, look at this. You're not going to convince me it's not true.
You are dumb.
Okay, so look, here's another example. This is Hoover Dam
Yes.
between 2000 and 2021.
Oh, they don't have that little boat there anymore, do they?
Yeah, not an option anymore. Again, a massive difference. This is concerning for another reason. Along the Colorado River, there's a lot of these hydroelectric dams. Hoover Dam's like the most famous one,
Yeah.
obviously, but there's a lot of these. As this water level lowers,
Oh yeah, they won't be able to work, so they wouldn't
Yeah.
be able to create power.
there is a point which we're about, I think it's 80 or 90 feet. So it seems like a lot, but this is 20 years the difference, and that's easily way over 80 or 90 feet, where we're going to be below the turbines, and the dam won't be able to.
Produce power.
Yeah, which is where the majority of the power comes from for Las Vegas. And this is the story for a lot of cities along the Colorado River who are getting a major source of their power from these hydroelectric dams that are now sinking. Are you what?
Should I not drink this then?
Well, we're not over there, so we're not taking from.
So that's
we're
not
not
our
a part of the
problem?
compact.
Okay. That stresses me out.
Yeah, isn't that crazy? So not only are we nearing a state where there's not enough water to go around for just drinking and like our industry and agriculture, we're going into a situation where there's not enough for power. And so it's nearing a situation where not only like it's dangerous for a lot of reasons. And the thing that I think needs
Do you
to be
think this whole thing is
acknowledged-
going to collapse in like 20 years? And by that, I mean like literally our whole country. Like, do you think this whole system we have is not going to last?
Here's
My
the
question
thing.
is, what's the point of doing a podcast?
Here's the
What's
thing.
the point of listening to this?
Here's the
When
thing.
you're driving in your car right now, think about the fact that your car's not going to work. You know?
Here's
Nothing can save you.
Here's the thing.
Think about this. There's nothing you can do.
Here's the thing to think about.
There's no power in your hands. It's over, baby. we had a good run.
That is an interesting point because you might be watching this and saying, well, I live in the lower basin. How can I help?
We have a lot of lower basin fans. I do know that.
Maybe I could take shorter showers.
I've been trying to reach out to the upper basin, but
I could get rid of my lawn and do one of those like desert landscape things.
But really, it's not individuals, is it?
No, you could get 1 million people in LA to drastically change their lifestyle, and it wouldn't make a dent in this problem. It is such a massive issue where it has to be pretty much the whole, or it's not going to do anything. And so these sweeping changes are going into effect.
Okay, what changes are happening?
So a few years ago, a committee got together and they basically told
a committee. Thank goodness.
They basically said, hey, Californian farmers, a bunch of you don't get any more water because they are leaning on this compact that said upper basin gets the rights. And so if there's ever an issue, we get priority. And so Colorado or California farmers, you guys are using a lot per capita that isn't fair. And so you're using more than you should be allotted. And so they started making them do fallow years where they basically let their land dry up 1 year and then the next year they could farm it. So they had a full year where they wouldn't use their land.
Yikes.
The issue with that is getting that land to bounce back and actually produce after you dry it up
doesn't work that well.
Yeah, it's going to take years. Yeah. And so most of these farms
are dead,
are starting to go under. And that happened in Arizona, that happened in California.
Also, you're immediately cutting your revenue in half.
Yeah, exactly.
But was it a situation where
they paid them? They said, we'll pay for your fallow year. And so we'll pay you whatever you would have made. And then the next year you can go ahead and farm
I guess
again.
that's fair. Money's made up.
No, because then the next year they can't farm because the farm's not bouncing back in 1 year.
Okay.
And so what happened is they started doing this.
And they were like, "Ooh, that was a bad idea. Sorry, guys."
A bunch of farms shut down. And this year they started actually saying, we can't give water to this district at all anymore. You have no water for farming. And so obviously that literally forced them out. They aren't able to farm in that area anymore. A couple big impacts that I think were maybe overlooked or maybe undervalued were what these farms do. Because a lot of these farms are alfalfa farms, which feed livestock and are exported. And so this is putting a strain on the livestock industry.
Yep.
Not just here, but in China. China's a huge export. Japan is a huge export. And so it's constraining those industries as well. And so this is starting to have an impact that's much bigger than just the Southwest. Into the effect on the economy.
Well, yeah, but I mean, I'm saying like that's what, when COVID happens, the whole system relies on itself.
Yeah. It's like the Bronze Age collapse episode we did. It's all just kind of balanced on itself. And if you pull one thing out,
I love that you said that. Yeah, that's great.
Then everything else kind of starts to fail.
Well, anyway, if you're having a bad day, hope that made it worse.
So anyways, the whole point of the story is the Colorado River is in a very scary moment right now. And I think the people in the Southwest know about this. They've heard about it. It's been pretty public. What is scary is if you watch the news and like broadcasts about the problem.
Sure.
It's always given this happy spin because most of the cities where the broadcast is coming from, they have a backup plan. They have another source of water. So the Colorado River can dry up and there may be a change. There may be a situation where Scottsdale doesn't get to have green lawns anymore. But at the end of the day, you're not going to die. Like you're still going to have water to drink.
Okay.
The farms that feed you are going to shut down.
Yes.
That's not being talked about. And the power plants,
I'm thinking about
the hydroelectric dams are not being talked about.
I'm thinking about how that affects
we still have water.
Produce prices.
Oh, totally.
That affects all of us.
Totally. And
that's what I'm trying to say too, is that the system is so built in on itself. But problems are not localized anymore. Mm-hmm. So it's like, that's not just the Southwest problem because the system is so like an arch of rocks. You know, it's not one rock that holds it.
Yeah.
The whole thing is built in together. You pull any one of those rocks out, the whole thing falls.
Exactly.
And so, what a good time.
Yeah.
You know?
So there are people trying to work on this. In the early 2000s, they got together and they started saying, hey, the way we set this up doesn't make sense. We need to do something about it. They moved kind of slow. And then in 2008, they looked at the difference in water levels and they were like, we need to move faster. And so they basically did away. They didn't do away
They
with the compact.
Were they throwing darts and like sitting in there decorating their
No
cubicles
more
for the
water
first
for
8
you.
years?
No more water. Yeah.
No, they're just sitting there. They're like, oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah,
And they're
yeah.
like, oh, shoot.
Oh, the water's almost gone.
Whoa.
Who took all the water?
Golly, sorry. I was watching The Office. I didn't even realize.
Yeah, pretty much. And then in 2008, they were like, yeah, we're really running out of water really fast. And so the compact is still in effect, but they created a new version of it that does go off percentages instead of gallons or acre feet.
Was it a situation where farmers were taking their like what they usually take, even if they didn't really need all of that, because it was part of the split?
I guess I don't think the word need makes sense. I think they were taking as much as they were allotted.
Yeah, but they didn't need to take that whole amount.
That's debatable.
Like they could have recycled water. They could have done different tactics earlier.
Well, that's what's complicated about that too, is like in a lot of upper basin states, it's actually legal to like collect rainwater because it serves the Colorado River. And so like you can't collect rainwater for your farms and stuff like that.
Sure.
Because you're limiting what Mexico's getting, and you're breaking the pact. So there's a lot of things where you're...
What, my little bin of rainwater I'm stealing
from Mexico.
Okay. This is also what I hate, and we got to wrap this up because Alex has to get out of here.
Yeah.
I hate that these kind of big issues come down to like where they're on the news and they're like, man, if you cut down on, you take a shorter shower.
Yeah.
And then, you're helping.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. So what it's come down to at this point is they created a new short-term plan that expired in 2016. And then they created a new one that expired in 2019. They have one active now that expires in 2026 that they are currently renegotiating because they've realized that things are moving faster than they planned.
Golly, dude.
And so the pact still exists, but they are operating as if it doesn't. What's unfortunate is a lot of upper basin states and farmers especially are acting like the pact still exists and are kind of digging their heels in. What the experts are saying is at this point where we're at, there's not a situation that ends without somebody losing water. They were like, we have to take water rights from somebody at the situation we're at, or else everybody loses like this.
All of it.
All of it. Yeah. It'll completely dry up and there won't be water for anybody. And so pretty much the situation we're in, this committee that's put together across the government and all of these states has to decide who they're going to hurt, or else it doesn't exist anymore. And they're not doing that. They're not choosing somebody to hurt. They're trying to make it work for everybody, and it's just not going to. So it's a rough situation.
We have to do the same thing in this room right now. There's 5 people.
Who do we get to hurt?
One of us is not going to get to walk down the stairs. It's a real prisoner's experiment, isn't it? Ah.
I choose the horse.
Okay, fiddle off. You're still here, which means you've either walked away from the video or you just kind of gave up and just let it play in the background. Either way, thanks for doing that. Thanks for making it to the end of the episode. Through the Fiddle Off, you've made it. So there are more episodes. You can click that right there, or you can watch other videos. Make sure you subscribe to this video and whatever other things YouTubers say.